Tuesday, the council saw 4 options for what could be the first phase of urban rail in Austin. Overall, the project is estimated to cost $1.3 billion. The city could be asking voters to approve using $250 million of tax money on the first phase of that project. Do you think this is something Austin needs? And if so, how do you convince voters it is a good idea? Ms. Tovo, we will start with you.
Well, I am a supporter of a multimodal system of public transportation that includes urban rail. I think it's critical that we make sure that the cost of it, the full cost of it, will not fall on the backs of Austin taxpayers. So we need to be very creative as leaders in really looking toward financing options that will shield taxpayers from that burden. I support urban rail because I think it's part of really long-term planning here in Austin. We have, you know, if you were here during South by Southwest, I think you saw that we really need to find better ways of getting people in and around our city and out of their cars. So working to improve our public transportation system is very critical to me, making sure that we, if the voters do support urban rail, that it intersects well with our existing bus system, that we're working to improve pedestrian routes as well as bicycle routes, and so we're providing really a fully connected system that helps get people around. Urban rail in other cities has really been part of making life more affordable for citizens because it offers them a way to get around the city that can be very cost effective. And I will say also we need to continue to invest and maintain our existing road infrastructure. So it's urban rail can be part of the solution, but it's not the silver bullet.
Councilmember Shade, your response?
Well, I think that I'd like to mention that I've lived and traveled in many cities where urban rail is a big part of the commute for folks, but these are not cities that are typically known for being affordable either. So I think we really need to be careful before we move forward, and I would approach this decision just like any other decision, get all the facts, and we raised many questions at the last work session. And we need to know who's going to ride it, what is the route going to be, who's going to operate it, what is the cost of operating it, what is it that we're going to be asking of voters by next fall. Of course, this is going to be a vote in front of the voters at large. This isn't a decision that City Council will make independently. But I do think that we really, you know, I'm in agreement with my opponent that we need to pursue a multimodal system. And clearly, urban rail could play a part in that, but I think that until we can answer the key questions and really understand what the business plan is for making this work, I think it would be really foolish to put it on the ballot.
Fair enough. All right. Now, this is a follow-up question to that question. Besides urban rail, what are some of the other options that you think the City Council can do in order to solve the traffic problems here in Austin? Let's go ahead and start with Councilmember Shade. Okay.
Well, just as my opponent said, there's no silver bullet, and I think I've talked to a lot of voters over the last, especially over the last several months, and you know, traffic is one of those things that everybody complains about, but I also have noticed that most people really disagree on all the solutions. Most people really hate the solutions almost as much as they hate the problem. And so I think the things that we have to do is continue to plug away at all of the potential options. We definitely need help with roads, absolutely. I was a proponent of the bond election that we had last fall because it included not only additional funding for roads in specific areas of town, like the Y at Oak Hill, where we could definitely see some need for immediate relief. But in addition, supported some bicycle lanes. I've been endorsed by Bicycle Austin and the League of Bicycling Voters because I have supported that as another aspect of transportation. We've done a lot to improve sidewalks. We do a lot to actually improve the maintenance of our roads. We've made a lot of difference, especially in the east part of the city. And I think that it's just an ongoing thing. And the other thing that I'd like to look at more is flex time options. Of course, we're going to have some important decisions ahead with our other partners, with TxDOT and the county when it comes to MOPAC and other things that we can do there. I mean, all these things collected are part of what a multimodal system means.
Kathy?
Thanks. Well, on the campaign trail, I've heard lots of concerns. I would say the top concern I've heard is affordability and the rising costs here in Austin. The second is definitely traffic. And, you know, certainly different parts of our city experience this differently, but we need to get serious and take a really strong approach to it. And I support some of the smaller projects that can make a difference. I too supported the mobility bonds last fall because I thought they could really bring more immediate congestion relief to places like the Oak Hill Y. I think that's a real success story. It's a relatively smaller dollar investment in terms of a transportation solution, but it will yield more immediate congestion relief. So those kinds of transportation solutions, I think, are very important in terms of confronting the congestion we've got on our roads. Looking at turn signal changes, restriping the lanes, things of that sort are smaller scale projects, but again can yield more immediate results. And as I mentioned earlier, we need to continue to invest in safe routes to schools, making sure that we've got sidewalks throughout our city. That's another key priority I know lots of groups have mentioned to me. And really we need to think differently about how we are using our planning to design our neighborhoods, and really focusing on using our planning to design our communities where people have the services they need closer to home, so there'll be less of a need for them to get in our car. You know, how can we do better at getting jobs closer to where people live, stores closer to where they live, parks, safe public spaces closer to where people live. So again, that takes more cars off the road.